Hey everyone, welcome to Craving Something Scary, where it's all horror all the time. Now in this video, I'm going to discuss the new information regarding the status of Stab 8 and the details around whether or not we will be seeing it in Scream 5. Let's do it! So One Take News published an article yesterday that gives us some new and concrete information about Stab 8. And depending on how you feel about a particularly controversial director, you may or may not like what I have to share. So let's get into it. The first thing I want to post is this portion of the article where we read, in Scream 4, we learned Stab 7 was the latest film in the franchise. However, we're not only learned that Stab 8, which is actually titled Stab as a way of poking fun at reboot titles, will be in 2022's Scream, but that a famous director is involved in the film as well. So this portion of the article informs us of three things. Number one, there will indeed be a Stab movie within Scream 5. Now, I have speculated many times that I felt there will be a Stab movie in Scream 5, and that the footage we've seen with the metal mask and the flamethrower with the sleeveless robe, that probably is from a from a Stab movie. And we know the studio bought the rights for the Stab name and franchise within the Scream universe. So we can now know that this movie will in fact be in the Scream film. It's not a theory anymore. It's confirmed as fact. So we know it for sure. Okay, the second thing this article confirms with us is that it's the name of the new Stab film. Now, rather than the title being Stab 8, they decided to shave off the sequel number and simply title it Stab. Does that sound familiar at all? So here we have our very first confirmed meta moment in the Scream movie. They are mirroring the exact same naming convention as Scream, and also did not name the movie Scream 5, right? So it's the same type of thing. And the article mentions it will poke fun at reboot titles, which of course Scream is basically a reboot or a relaunch, whatever you want to call it. But the new Stab movie will mirror that part of the new Scream film. However, on a side note, I will always call this Scream 5. I've always said that. I always will. It'll be Scream 5 for me. All right. The third and final piece of information that we received from the opening of this article is that a famous director will be directing the new Stab film, and we will see it in the movie. So, this is very intriguing, and there are so many names that come to mind for potential candidates, right? We've got, Robert Rodriguez again, who directed the original Stab. It could be him. You could have Sam Raimi. You could have John Carpenter, James Wan. Guillermo del Toro, David Bruckner, and even Jordan Peele. I mean, that's just some names right off the top of my head that would be great horror directors you could have, and the list goes long. It goes even longer if you really stop and think about it more. So when I read this, this part of the article, I got excited at the potential of us having a great horror director being a part of the movie and actually directing the Stab footage. So that leads us to the next portion of the article, where we will find out who they selected to film it, and also some more information about Stab as well. We read, One Take News has learned from sources that director Rian Johnson will be directing the fictional Stab 8 in 2022's Scream. He is referenced in the film as being, quote, the guy from Knives Out, end quote. So we've learned that Rian Johnson has been chosen to direct the Stab 8 film footage. While he's definitely a famous director, no doubt, he certainly brings with him some controversy from his past in directing The Last Jedi, which severely divided much of the Star Wars fandom, as we know. But no matter what you may think of him with regards to The Last Jedi, Rian Johnson went on to write and direct the masterfully done Knives Out. Absolutely love that movie. Seen it tons of times. And in my book, that is an outstanding whodunit film. And I'm really pumped for the sequel to come out. Now, it's funny that the article mentions Rian will be referenced in the movie by the cast of Scream 5 as the guy from Knives Out. And I love how Radio Silence is continuing the legacy of the Scream films by having real movies from our world exist in the world of the Scream film. I just love that. So whether you're a Rian Johnson fan or not, let's go into this together with high expectations, knowing he is the guy Radio Silence selected to direct Stab 8. And for me, I'm going to trust that Radio Silence made the right decision and that the results will be great. Okay, the last portion of the article says this. In Scream, all the fans hate Stab 8. And Johnson directing the film is meant to make fun of fans who become toxic because some sequels don't do what they want, like The Last Jedi. Sadly, Johnson will not cameo in the film, but he is thanked in the credits of the movie. Okay, so we find out that the characters in Scream 5 actually hate Stab 8. And having Rian Johnson direct Stab 8, it mirrors the large amount of hate that The Last Jedi received and how toxic things became towards Rian Johnson after that movie came out, because the sequel did not do what many fans wanted to see. So the big joke is that Stab 8 is basically serving in the Scream world as the equivalent of The Last Jedi in our world, and it's with the same director. So it's pretty cool. I think it's a pretty good meta joke that, and it lands because it's a direct parallel to our world. And Rian Johnson serves as, directing both of these often hated movies, right? Well, with Jedi, and now in the Scream world, they're hating Stab 8. So it can definitely be funny to see this on the screen, and I think it's a great move. Now, what makes this whole thing super meta is that by doing this, Radio Silence is also forecasting that Scream 5 may not be what the majority of fans want to see, or at the very least, they are aware that themselves, they could be in Rian Johnson's shoes after Scream 5. Because no matter how good they do it, there will always be some fans who will not accept a Scream film without Wes Craven being involved, or they will not be happy if anything new is introduced to the style of the movie if it differs from Wes Craven's style of the first 4 films. So I think this is pretty cool and very meta that they are having Rian Johnson direct a hated film within the Scream world, and at the same time are acknowledging that they themselves are making a sequel, albeit a relaunch, which could land or not. Like, they know that that's a real possibility, and thus they could be Rian Johnson 2.0 with this film. Now, personally, I do not think that's going to happen. I believe that Radio Silence are the right guys for this franchise. I've said it over and over, and I truly do have high expectations for a fantastic movie. I think it's going to be exceptionally good. So I don't think that's going to happen. But what I love about that is just the idea that Radio Silence themselves are acknowledging, hey, look, we know that we're not Wes Craven. We know that we're touching a very, very iconic franchise, and that it's very possible that, hey, we could be Rian Johnson when this thing comes out in relation to Last Jedi. I just think that's very, very cool. It's very meta, and it's also kind of nice to see that they have that humility about themselves, that they are acknowledging that to us as fans in the actual movie itself because of that. So I think that's pretty cool. All right, now I want to know what you think about this Stab 8 news and Rian Johnson being the director. I want to hear your opinions, thoughts, ideas, and theories. So start leaving your comments below right now so we can discuss it together. Well, that is it for this update, but I'll be back soon with more Scream and other horror movie content. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and until next time, this is Craven Something Scary, where it's all horror all the time. Thank you for watching.